We're gonna start off with the first fish. Enjoy the angle at which you see nothing. I'm zoomed in because this is how I do when I float fish, and I forgot to zoom out to wide lens. But now watch. Fuck. Whew. It was more a listen than watch, right? Yeah. There's a better angle. This shows things nice. Holy. Can you believe what I'm doing? What am I doing? Wow. Casting a spoon hard upstream at a relatively fast moving current of depth up to 3 feet. Wow, this is something new, or is it? Is it the same tactic that I apply to coho fishing? I know, you've never seen this before. I know that if it was you and you were spoon fishing, you would be to the right of me, to the right of the run, and basically, cast out and swing out and fish like that. Basically, swinging. Which, boom, that's a fish. Yeah. Look, if you can look, you'll be able to see the fish just went by. I'm sure it's on the camera somewhere. If I find it after some looking, I'm gonna point to it with an arrow. So where were we though? Wow, that was crazy. That was crazy. You just saw 2 fish. Those 2 fish come, just for your information, about not even 5 minutes apart from each other in the same spot, in the same run, on the same cast. Now, there's a lot to say about that. For sure, it was 2 different fish. The first one that you didn't see was much bigger and a little more dark or colored, and then the second one was smaller, and it was much more chrome. It was pretty fresh. So that's how I know it was 2 fish. It wasn't the same fish. Now, I'll come back to this later. Let's go back to just being amazed at how I caught those 2 fish. About 5 minutes apart, and doing this crazy lure fishing for steelhead using a coho spoon. Basically one of my favorite coho spoons. Not that I fish spoons for coho much, but no, just look and marvel. Look at this and tell me how I'm crazy, and I'm sure you laugh at me on the river, because steelhead fishing is such an elitist sport where everybody feels so highly of themselves, views themselves as some kind of a exclusive club type of person, which I kind of do get. I sort of have feelings like that of my own. But my point is, if you see me casting spoons on a tiny little rod, the way I'm casting spoons, like basically at the sitting at the bottom of a fast current and casting opposite of it, you would just kind of like chuckle and laugh and just will have these thoughts to yourself like, you're so much better than me at this, like I don't know what I'm doing, right? I know it's hilarious. I laugh about it all the time. Well, I mean, one fish, you could say it's kind of a fluke, right? Two fish, oh, it's starting to become something, right? Even though it never made sense to you to do this. Well, I guess to most of you, you never bothered with spinners and spoons, and if you do, it's under the float. Spinners under the float. It is a way that a lot of people fish, and I also fish like that. You can basically make a similar kind of run, which is a straight down run with your spinner under the float, but that's for another video, and I feel like I'm one of a few that do it the way it works best, which is basically again to be lower than what I'm targeting, cast upriver, and then just retrieve. Same thing as I would do with this, but basically with a float on a float rod. And sometimes I would also swing, like most people would actually fish, is swing through drifts. I would do that too, but it's difficult. I mean, it's not difficult, but swinging is not ideal because often the ideal spot for these fish is right on the seam of something, right? And then you have a length of this run, usually of however many feet, 30, 40, 50, even more, right? If I keep swinging, I'm gonna keep hitting just section of that perfect steelhead water where they're sitting, sections. And that's how people do, you know, they'll swing this section for a little bit, then go down, swing a little bit, swing. Okay, yes, and they'll catch them. This is also a way you catch them, and it's the right way, right? But since I'm lazy and I'm a lazy genius, I usually don't have time to fish like that. I would just go low at just the way I'm doing here, low at the run, and kind of cast, like position myself to be able to cast and hit the entire continuation of the perfect spot along the outside seam or inside seam of the run where it's perfect walking water, and I'll retrieve the entire length of that thing, basically hitting the whole thing entirely. And I would make usually 3 casts doing that, because, you know, I'll cast a little bit closer to the fast water, then I'll cast a little bit kind of like in the perfect spot, and then I'll cast a little bit towards the shallow. So often the fish are like right in the shallow where you don't even have a good drift. Oh, my story's gonna get interrupted. There is the third one. And the tiniest little rod, bro. Third one in a row. This looks like the first one. I gotta get above it, otherwise I'll lose it like the other two. And now I'm gonna try to get it down. It's a big fish though. Lost it again. Ah, yes. It did happen to me again. Third one. 3 fish. Wow, you you're starting to become a believer. I can feel it. Not that you're ever gonna do this, right? Because people get stuck in their ways and mostly would just do whatever they know already works and stick to their comfort zone, which is fine. But I do know there's a few of you that will watch this and you know, put it there in your shelf of knowledge, and if you do whip out a spinning rod, or even maybe on your float rod under the, you know, with the spinner under the float, you may take this as good advice and apply it. At least that's my hope. I have to finish my thought here a little quicker because we're coming up to the next fish. That's right, 4 fish. And this is a cool one. I'm actually gonna do a little commentary about what's happening here, because you coming up from behind, and on a clear and low day, if there was sun, I would have been able to see even more, but even without the sun, I can see quite well the bottom, and I can see where there's a little rock that looks perfect with a little dip. So I'm looking intently right now at my structure, because from where I was, if you can tell, I'm right now on the other side of where I was. Now I'm not in the middle of the current, I'm just on the other side. And I did it because I did want to have a look and see exactly where the freaking little hole is. And then I saw the hole. I did not see the fish, but I saw the hole, a hole that looked great. As soon, as soon as that fish hit, I saw it, and I saw 2 fish, and I saw the bigger one grab it. I actually didn't feel anything on the rod when I set the hook, because I just saw the fish grab it, and I just gave it a pause, and boom, hit it. I got a little overexcited, but it worked. See how close that was to me? But I was still behind that fish, which is why it didn't see me and spook. I was just behind him. I was just behind him. This here gets a little dramatic with the landing, because I wasn't gonna lose this one, man. I wasn't gonna let it stay in the water for long. I kind of pulled on it, and all kinds of stuff like this happened, and then boom.